Let's do this, bro. What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It is I, your more phenomenal host, Adam Perez, back once again for another review as we're set to go ahead and get into episode number 12 of Don Brothers, guys. And I'm telling you, I literally just finished watching this episode like 5 minutes ago. I had to go ahead and hit this record button to talk about the amazing freaking episode that we wind up getting here, man. I was blown away in regards to it. Not only some great work in regards to Momotaro along with Sonoi in here, but some incredible action as well, and is also the debut of the Don OniTaiJin. I didn't know what to expect when it came to this brand new mecha in here, but I'm floored, and I absolutely love in regards to what we wind up getting in here. I mean, talk about creativity, talk about maneuverability as well. Getting the opportunity to see everybody in their Robotaro forms get to transform into this mecha was really fun, honestly. I really had a lot of fun with just its combination and seeing how everybody really gets the opportunity to kind of talk. Like, one of the things that got into my head when I was watching this was this is like this particular mecha out of all the ones that I've seen so far truly feels like it works best when everybody is certainly on the same page and kind of communicating with each other. There's a really great unique like technique that they're using in here, since everybody's really like a shoulder pad or a knee pad. Anytime any of the characters get to talk, I love the quick close-up views, quick close-up shots, if you will. It even looks like that little body part shakes too, like they're kind of talking. It almost reminded me a little bit of like the Kara Major gems. Every time that they spoke, they moved and things like that. So it almost feels like it gives every limb of this mecha a little bit of a personality, get an opportunity to see the Don brothers really speaking through this mecha's limbs. And even the idea of sometimes, like, if they weren't too coordinated, just the shakiness that the Zord kind of experienced, right? So it really does feel like when the Don OniTaiJin is on its point, that's when like everybody is really working together and certainly on the same page. And I kind of dig that aspect to making their mecha work. And it's one of those things too where one of the things I talked about was, man, we have not had a Zord battle in quite some time, right? Like, and I was a really big fan of the Zord battles, and for a little bit of a period, it was just them taking care of the monster without even needing their mecha. But now that we get the opportunity to see this Don OniTaiJin, I'm so glad we got ourselves a mecha battle, man. I truly am. And what makes this even more unique for me too is that we get the same Don OniTaiJin in its regular size as well, not just in its gigantic mecha form to go ahead and take care of these beasts, but I love the idea that it shows up on a throne. I mean, how G is that, right? I mean, the idea that he feels like he's just like this emperor sitting on his throne, larger than life sort of thing, single-handedly taking down all these henchmen with like one singular chop. It was just something to behold, and then to go ahead and see it grow even more than that. I mean, man, I am blown away by just its presentation, its maneuverability. I won't say it's as maneuverable as, say, the Real Soldier mecha that we wind up having, but just its fluidity in here really works for me, man. So if they want to do the more physical suit for this instead of a full CGI Zord and sequence, I'm fully on board with it. But regardless, the Don OniTaiJin delivered more than I certainly expected it to. And again, I'm not a big action collector fan or action figure fan when it comes to collecting, but I have seen this particular Zord before, its articulation and stuff, and the presentation in this episode really made me look at it in a much better light. Not that I didn't like it before, but just really boosting the positivity I already had for it. Man, I kind of maybe want to own one myself at this point in time. And I will even say, I also really enjoy just the sequence leading up to it, right? We're so used to Don Momotaro making everything such a festival, right? And just big, epic and bombastic. So the fact that we get the opportunity to see everybody in their Robotaro form, like setting sail in this big, ship of theirs sort of thing before they go to the great combination. I mean, I love the fact fact that I even have like a title for what's certainly taking place, and it just makes it feel that much bigger. And so I really enjoy just the enthusiasticness that the writers have brought to this series, and Don Momotaro just continues to win me over, man. But yeah, the Don OniTaiJin, hell of an impressive debut here, if I certainly do say so myself. But I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts in regards to it, because I thought the action in here worked extremely well. And also, on top of the action here, the fact that I feel like I don't know if this is the first time that we've had majority of everybody together for a morph sequence, but you know, we're so used to seeing our team popping into the battle from time to time. The fact that we had 4 of them together, henching, you know, of morphing and stuff for the first time. Well, maybe not for the first time, but again, the opportunity to morph. It felt great to me to be able to have at least some of the team certainly together, and I continue to be a really big fan of their special attacks. Like visually, it just really looks stunning. But character-wise, when it comes to this episode, a couple of things wind up happening. I do want to give a quick shout out and honorable mention to Oni's sister in here, Haruka, who really comes out of the gates in this episode trying to question Kaido in regards to maybe what happened a couple of episodes ago about how are you able to transform, right? Like, why of all people do you have a costume? She clearly realizes that he plays certainly a bigger picture, but that's definitely still a mystery that Kaido certainly wants to hold on to himself before he actually reveals everything to us. So I appreciate that, and I also appreciate the way Haruka reacts to certain situations that she's kind of thrown in. Like, I love the idea that him not answering the question kind of rubs her the wrong way. Like, okay, well, you still are avoiding my question that I asked. But the fact here that we got Kaido introducing Haruka to a brand new co-worker who is a soon-to-be idol by the name of Kira Kalala, I believe her name is Kalala, and definitely rubs Oni's sister the wrong way. I mean, already immediately coming out of the gate talking about her thinness, maybe not necessarily in the waist, but maybe in the chestal region, if you will. Kalala really comes out of the gate swinging also, and just the ability to be able to read the reaction and emotions clearly on Haruka's face. It's really one of the reasons why I love this actress that performs as Oni's sister. I think she's brought a great levity certainly to this series for sure, just with her facial expressions and her reactions to certain things that certainly take place. Like even in this episode too, when we've got Momotaro really just being brutal to her about the idea of her beef stroganoff, right? Like I think he only scored it like 25 points, and she's like, well, because of you, I don't even make my specialty dish anymore, my beef stroganoff, I don't even make it anymore. And he's like, that's probably a good thing. And I love her reaction of just like that it hits to the core, right? Like it's like stabbing you in the heart sort of thing, and then her immediate reaction of just wanting to hit him over the head sort of thing. Like that's the level of frustration that unfortunately the truth that comes from Don Momotaro tends to have on people. But I thought it was pretty funny in regards to the Haruka meeting her new co-worker, and then really just learning about all the lies of this soon-to-be idol in Kalala. I believe she winds up lying about her relationship to a character by the name of Karen, if I'm not mistaken. I think she's part of, I can't remember the name of the band or the company that she's certainly a part of, but homegirl winds up popping up in this episode and calling her out for the lies that she winds up having. And the concept and the idea of lies is a very big theme throughout the entirety of this episode, especially when it does come to Momotaro. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Don Momotaro in here also, because his continued connection with Sonoi is something that I am so incredibly interested in. The whole idea of the bestials kind of playing into all of this really works for me as well. We've already seen the police officer who is a bestial. I believe we also have Miho now that's also a bestial in here. But one of the things that I enjoyed about this was the fact that not only does Sonoi pick up on the bestial, but in this episode, I believe this is the first time that the officer and Momotaro wind up at least passing each other by, and he winds up also noticing that something's up with the officer. I'm assuming whatever alien race or whatever realm, I should say, that maybe Momotaro along with this Sonoi character is certainly from. They definitely have the ability to pick up on these special creatures and these bestials, and maybe they give off a particular frequency that Momotaro can certainly pick up on. But I do love the idea that Don Momotaro recognizes it, and they wind up bumping into each other here in this particular episode, and they just have a really cool connection to me, man. Like, I really dig the way that they are relying a little bit more on each other, understanding that they probably maybe understand each other a lot better than anybody else, right? Because Momotaro's relationship with Sonoi is significantly different than it is with his other Don brothers in here. And the fact that we have somebody like Momo that's so open, like if he's open to anybody, it's definitely not his own companions and teammates, but the fact that he was kind of hoping that he would bump into Sonoi, the idea that he's got something on his mind and on his chest, and he really feels like if there's anybody that will listen to me and get me and maybe give me some great advice, it is in fact Sonoi. So I love the fact that their relationship truly is becoming a much bigger picture in regards to how are they connected, and the idea that they are really understanding each other extremely well. And when you see sort of the pivotal moment for Momotaro's life here in this episode, right? The concept of, hey bro, you just cannot tell a lie, huh? Like, you just have to tell the truth. There's no little white lies when it comes to you, right? The fact that we get the opportunity to see the cost of what it means to lie for Momotaro is deathly, unfortunately, and I certainly was not expecting it to be that serious. I also wonder if that's Momo's first time experiencing something like that, almost being forced to lie and seeing the repercussions for the first time. He looked startled, he certainly looked worried, and I think the fact that he's, I don't want to say hunting for Sonoi, but at least glad that he bumped into him, I gotta think it certainly shook him enough to be able to want to talk to somebody about it. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a super impactful moment to understand his power set. I think once again, understanding how his maybe good fortune certainly works to his benefit and unfortunately to his detriment here. The idea that you, no matter how hard you try, you can't tell a lie. And the one thing I appreciate too about Momotaro is that he's very much self-aware. You know, the fact that he understands that his truths tend to truly hurt people, yet there's unfortunately nothing that he can do about it. You know what I mean? And so I do also think that that's one of the reasons why he's certainly a delivery man. The fact that we've seen him already living in the community, seeing the same people over and over again, and the hatred that wind up not only amounting towards him, but really forcing people to certainly leave, right? So the idea of sticking in one place is probably extremely tragic, with just the amount of people that you can affect, but maybe the idea of spreading some of that good fortune around, the fact that you don't continue to see these people on a daily basis to continue to aggravate them, sort of thing. I think that's how maybe he disperses some of that bad luck that might come with his good fortune. And I think that continues to showcase itself here in this season, especially when the idea that when some of the people he delivers to, despite the fact that he's trying to bring good fortune, right? In the previous episode, he bumped into the ninja master, right? And easily dismantled his attack that he wind up having, and it wind up causing this man to form a Hitatsuki. There was just this greed and this overbearing of emotion of being really shown up to be this pretend ninja by this delivery guy, right? Like, clearly not the intentions of Momotaro, but that is unfortunately how he does affect some people, and so I do think that's one of the reasons why he's certainly a delivery man here. But again, the fact that he's at least self-aware of the pain that sometimes his truth winds up causing really makes me appreciate this character even more, and I think even appreciate just the bond that he winds up having with Sonoi. So I continue to truly love what they wind up having. I'm really curious to see where they're leading with their relationship, because of the fact that I kind of see them as aliens in a sense, even though they are kind of maybe from the same realm. I don't even know what I would consider them as. Everything about what they do together seems rather unique, and I'm really a big fan, regardless of where they certainly take the arc for both of these characters. But I'm actually truly enjoying it. But other than that, man, I really appreciated the Momotaro line theme. Again, the idea of lies really being the theme of this particular episode, and it truly worked for me in regards to shedding some light on Momotaro, as well as the relationship between him and Sonoi. And and I also will say, the idea of Sonoi explaining the concept of beautiful lies, I don't know if that's his breaking down. While it was extremely well said, there was a part of me that feels like, did this go over my head a little bit? But when he's mentioning the idea of the moon, we can see the moon, but the moon unfortunately is lying to us. It's not the moon that's shining the light down on us, that it's the sun that's actually reflecting off of the moon's surface. So he mentions the idea that the moon is technically a lie, but the one reason why we trust the moon is because of the fact that we can see it, at least, right? We can't necessarily see the sun all the time because it unfortunately goes to the other side of the world, type of thing. And so, like, for me, when he mentions the idea of being able to at least see the moon, right, in the sense of be able to see the lie that you're telling, to me, it makes me feel like he's explaining that even though you have to tell the truth, at the end of the day, the impact that it has on people, like, you have the ability of being able to control that, right? And then I think it's the idea of finding that balance of truth and lie. The idea, like, if I am going to be telling the truth and I know that it hurts somebody, what can I do to go ahead and sort of not allow it to have such an impact? And I think the idea that we see Momotaro at the end of the episode helping his fellow co-worker go and see his mom, right? Because it is Momotaro that wind up getting him in trouble in here. The idea is like, hey, even though I told the truth and I got you in trouble, I'm really going to try and take some of the blow of that impact off of you by still being able to help you out where I can to make what you need to do possible. And the fact that he went ahead and helped him see his mom, I think definitely made up for the fact that he wind up telling the truth. So I think as long as you can keep an eye on the truth or the lies that you're telling, I think he's just saying that you also have the opportunity to gauge how impactful what you're telling somebody really is, if you go out of your way to certainly help them. So I'm curious if it's something along those lines, but I really did enjoy the lesson that Momotaro wind up finding, learning in here for himself, despite unfortunately having to pass away for a small brief period of time in order to go ahead and learn that lesson. But overall, man, I continue to be hella impressed with this show. And listen, if there's anything in particular that I certainly might have missed in this particular episode, go ahead and certainly let me know. These are just simply my A+ opinions, but I always want to know yours at the end of the day. If I missed a character moment, storyline details, some Easter eggs you want to further talk about, let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below after this particular video streams. And until then, we'll certainly see you guys later. And I will be doing my best to certainly continue to catch up to Don Brothers here this week for you guys. So certainly stay tuned for our episode 13 review. But until then, do me a big favor. As always, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.